You are listening to the Unsoberly Sober Show. I'm your host, Magnify Maggie. This podcast will turn your perception of going sober upside down. We're going to be working from the inside out to get you that dream life. So make sure you stick around for the end of the episode where I'm going to walk you through our weekly positive pursuit exercise to begin rewiring that beautiful mind, baby. Hello, my free and powerful friends. Welcome back to the Unsoberly Sober Show. Today, I want to talk about this other sector of people that I don't think I've really addressed before. You know, last episode and in so many episodes leading up to today, we've talked about how we use alcohol to cope with stress or maybe even grief, loss, sadness, those kinds of negative feelings. But it's really come to my attention that there's another group of people, even my old self included, that I need to talk to, and that's the people that use alcohol to celebrate. I was just listening to a Theo Von interview. Shout out Theo Von. I love his comedy, but he is also really open with his addiction recovery kind of journey, very motivational as well as humorous. I love Theo Von so much. Theo Von had an interview with Tommy Lee of Motley Crue, and they were talking about their sober dates. They were talking about their sober journeys. And something Tommy Lee said was, I'll always make it to a year. And then I'm like, fuck yeah, I got a year of sobriety. I want to celebrate. And to which he would then go back and use the thing that he was celebrating his sobriety freedom from. And it got me to thinking a lot about previous members of the Sober Experiment, as well as Magnify members and my old version of me, that when something went really well, it was like, yay, what do I do with my hands? I'm so happy. The sun is out. We're barbecuing. Life is good. I want to celebrate. Drink. Let's have alcohol. And it was this connection in my mind. And I think for a lot of listeners that might resonate with this, it was a connection in my mind of like, fun has to include alcohol. And if alcohol is not included, well, then what is fun even about? What do I do with my hands? I don't even know. I've got all of this excited energy and I don't know how to capture it other than boozing it. Or maybe it's, I have something to celebrate. Let's go out on the town and eat 5,000 calories. Oh my gosh, that's a celebration. So today I want to talk about non-food, non-alcohol rewards, and kind of the perspective on celebration, because this is something that I've had to go inwards and really shift my perspective on when it came to alcohol, celebration, how do I have fun, all of these things. So first off, I want to go down the rabbit hole. Think closing your eyes if it's safe. Don't do that while you're driving, but closing your eyes and thinking, if I am using alcohol to celebrate, what functionality is that? What is it actually doing for me? So here's what I've kind of outlined that I knew to be true about myself. What would cause me the need to celebrate with alcohol? Number one, maybe I was not celebrating enough within myself. Maybe there were things throughout the week that I should have celebrated. I should have given myself pats on the back for. Things that I could have praised myself and felt literal self-pride for. But instead, I shit on myself. I said, that wasn't good enough. You did X, Y, and Z okay, but how about the way you messed this other thing up? You did 99 things right, but that one thing you did wrong, I'm not going to allow you, myself, to celebrate because of that one thing you should have done better. This is really common with perfectionism. Remember, perfectionism isn't about striving to be perfect. It's about striving to figure out what you did wrong. That's really what perfectionism is. We'll never be perfect if we're always critical of finding the thing wrong, right? So if we are the type of person that stifles our own self-pride, self-satisfaction, and basically makes ourselves incapable of celebrating ourselves, wouldn't we look for a tool to connect with celebration outside of us? Seems pretty logical. Seems maybe even clever as a kind of a way to actually allow ourselves to feel the celebration that we're stealing from our own self. So, not celebrating enough within yourself. Maybe, number 2, you're not living an authentic life where you feel celebratory moment to moment. I know when I was coming out of high school, I was trying to decide what college to go to, how am I going to fund my college, all these things. And my grandpa, the Iron General, retired Major General Jack Strukel, his voice, his conditioning was always running in my mind. Join the Air Force. They'll pay for your college. Become a pilot. I didn't really know what I wanted to do because all of my goals were set on like, how can I do things that other people would like about me? How could I do things that other people would praise me for? It was never like, Maggie, what do you want to do with your life? It was, Maggie, how would you make people happy about you? And so I wasn't living authentically. I joined the Air National Guard, which was basically, part-time Air Force to be able to pay for school. Well, I shit on that opportunity because it wasn't authentic for me. I had to celebrate Friday night coming around every week because I hated my Monday through Friday afternoons. All of my life was built off of manufactured goals rather than those authentic goals. So because I wasn't living authentically, I really looked forward to anything that I could celebrate. A friend's birthday. Oh my gosh, a free-for-all. Oh, it's a holiday. It's July 4th and we're having a barbecue out back. Oh, free-for-all. October 31st, Halloween. Oh, I'm going to drink my ass off. It's a celebration. Well, I didn't have anything to celebrate because I wasn't living authentically. So then I was looking for things outside of me. Of course, that makes sense, right? Number 3, not doing anything to make yourself feel proud. So like the last episode where we talked about stress and how important routines are, if you don't have anything implemented in your day to make yourself feel proud, give yourself that satisfaction, then you're going to want to celebrate every little thing outside of you. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Thank goodness I'm off work. Time to celebrate the end of the day. Oh, it's 8 p.m., almost time for bed, time to celebrate with a nightcap. I made it through another day. All of these are perspectives that I think our brain is really doing a healthy function. It's looking for things to feel pleased within, but because we're kind of, I say like cutting off our nose to spite our face, we're kind of like not giving ourselves that opportunity to feel proud or feel satisfaction. We're going to look for things outside of us to be, or like rudimentary, very just simple aspects of day-to-day life to be like, can I make this a celebration? Can this be the special moment? Well, our whole mind is crafted in order to try to help us feel good about ourselves. And if we're always shitting on ourselves, then it's going to be like, oh, 5 o'clock, that means it's time to celebrate. 8 p.m. is time to celebrate. It's Friday or Saturday. We made it through another week. Let's celebrate. And I think within all of these 3 factors, not celebrating within yourself, not living an authentic life, and then not doing anything to where you actually feel proud, we start to trick ourselves into needing these arbitrary milestones to celebrate. If we're not living a life that we love Monday through Friday, doesn't it make sense that we would celebrate our ass off all weekend and then kind of dread going to work on Monday because we don't like what we're doing? If we pushed ourselves and followed these really rigid, strict guidelines all week with our diet and our exercise, and we forced ourselves through these what should be healthy, self-fulfilling routines, but just with kind of a bad intention, wouldn't we celebrate on Friday night by saying, hey, I'm going to go have the burger and fries and the soda and maybe the alcohol too? We're celebrating things that maybe we don't actually need to be celebrating. And I jotted this down too. I think this is kind of a funny mindset aspect. I think I got it from the speaker, entrepreneur, Cody Sanchez. I believe, I want to give her credit for this. She said, why do we need to reward ourselves and celebrate every little thing? Are we a dog? And I got to think about that. And I was like, you know how you give your dog a treat after like every little thing? And then it starts to expect the treat after every little thing. And sometimes you're like, all right, boy, you didn't do anything that good, but it expects the treat. I think that's how we have become as humans, and maybe even in society, because we give everybody trophies and, you know, everybody gets a participation award. We've become so conditioned to believe that every amount of effort requires a celebration or a reward. I think the best way to look at it is the reward and the celebration is the feeling of accomplishment, the sense of pride that you get. Because when you really relish in that and you savor in that, hey, I did a really good job at work this week. Hey, I'm so proud that I made it to the gym this week. We're not going to go out and do contradictory behavior to what we are proud of. Like Tommy Lee said in that podcast with Theo Vaughn, he'd make it through a year of sobriety only to celebrate with the one thing that broke his sobriety. How much of an oxymoron conundrum is that? Like, oh, I followed my 1,800 calorie a day diet, quote unquote, only to make it to Saturday and go eat 4,000 calories. The celebration is contradicting the behavior. Hey, I made it 30 days without alcohol. I'm going to go YOLO it up at the club. And that just doesn't make sense. But in our mind, because we've restricted without celebrating the actual things that would require some sort of celebration, like the sense of pride that we have. Hey, I did all of these new things today. I grew, I challenged myself, I learned lessons, I stretched my abilities and my capabilities, and now I'm such a strong person. Instead of just like relishing in that, we just like count the days or count the hours until we can do that thing again that we are restricting ourselves from. So I think this is a big mindset shift that most of us need in order to learn how to celebrate appropriately. I remember one of the members of the Sober Experiment, her first round, she really was inquisitive on this. She was asking almost repetitively, week over week, how do I celebrate? How do I have fun without alcohol? And eventually we got to a place where her mantra and what we would kind of coach her into believing was, you are the fun. You are the celebration. It's, again, nothing outside of you. Yeah, sometimes spending a little money on like a new workout outfit, that's a really fun reward, maybe after a month. Or going out and having a really nice meal, but doing it in the restraints of like not contradicting all of my hard work the past few weeks or past week. Like doing those things, that is nice. That is kind of a nice marker for like, hey, this is how I'm going to treat myself. But in treating yourself, are you actually shitting on yourself and your productivity, your growth, your stretching of your capabilities? Are you rewinding the tape and starting back over? Or are you doing something that is a nice maybe break from all of the focus, the chase of the dream, the chase of the identity? Is there something that you can do that's a nice compromise, knowing that the actual reward, the actual fun is you just knowing that you are a fucking badass, that you are doing this differently, that you are creating a different life, that you are actually impacting your results and, dare I say, manifesting different things, because we're always manifesting. If we're gaining weight, we're manifesting that. If we're losing weight and reaching our goals, then we're manifesting that. If we're having a bad day, we're manifesting that. If we're having a good day, we're manifesting that. So in the process of reaching goals, can you just sit with that and not need the fucking dog treat? Can you just sit with that and be like, gosh, I'm proud of myself. I know when I have one of those days where I just nail my routines and I maybe even go the extra mile for myself or my clients, I can sit on the couch at the end of the day. Ice cream doesn't sound good. A drink doesn't sound good. What sounds good is literally just sitting there and thinking about, I'm so proud of myself. Look how far I've come. Look at the previous version of me. I can't wait to see what the next version of me is like. What kind of goals do I think I could attain? Now I've shown and proven to myself that I'm a really capable human being. I'm magical. So like literally the sky is the limit. I can sit there on my couch, not doing anything, not consuming anything, and feel this sense of celebration without contradicting the goals. In fact, it's feeding into the goals. It's feeding into the momentum of like, look what I can do. Look what I did. Oh my gosh, I am so powerful. And I think that's just the mindset shift that we need. I want to kind of revisit these things, not celebrating enough within yourself. If you're not celebrating enough within yourself, you're going to look for those things outside of you. Oh, it's Friday night. We got to do it big. So on a day-to-day routine, how would you celebrate yourself more? And I want you to start practicing this. When you start to tell yourself what you haven't accomplished that day, what you still need to do, say, nope, I'm going to stop adding to my to-do list and I'm going to take a moment and celebrate what I have done. I don't care how little it is. This isn't about the actual thing, but about the habit of celebrating yourself. Because remember, if you're not celebrating yourself, you're going to look for that random milestone. It's hump day. Let's celebrate. I've made it 30 days without drinking, so I'm going to go drink. So celebrate not the incorrect metrics, but the actual small things. Like maybe today you got up without your snooze. Maybe today you ate some food. I don't even care what it is. Maybe you just tell yourself, hey, pat on the back for eating breakfast. Don't jump to, yeah, but it wasn't the right kind of breakfast. Just say, hey, good job eating your breakfast. Good job drinking some water today. Because when you start to celebrate what you're doing, no matter how big or small, you start to feel good and you start to make better choices that you can celebrate more of. And then when things pop up and you're like, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z, in your mind, you've already celebrated everything you accomplished. So you say, I'm the type of person that gets things done. So this new thing that just popped up on my radar that I need to get accomplished, I'm not sweating it. Because look at my track record. I'm the type of person that gets things done. I've celebrated those. I know I'm about to celebrate getting this thing done. So in that small moment of celebration, without counting what you've done wrong, you actually motivate yourself to take more action. And then again, you're setting yourself up to be invincible to, oh, I need this external factor to celebrate. I need to buy this thing. I need to eat this thing or drink this thing to celebrate and have fun. You're in such a high vibe that you could be doing literally nothing and having the best time of your life. Imagine feeling so proud of yourself and going out to dinner with people. You're just riding cloud nine. I don't know if anybody's experienced this, Rob. Let me know. Like you get really good news or you do something really well and you're proud of yourself and you go out with people and you're just like super high vibing with them. Like you don't even really get distracted by like all of the treats on the menu or like thinking about the drinks. Has that ever happened to you where you're just like in such a high vibe? It's just like everything is fun.
Yeah. It's like, you should talk about this too. I think it's internal validation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I like that you brought that up because within not celebrating enough within yourself, I was thinking like a lot of the time when I'm not celebrating within myself, I'm looking for external validation. But that internal validation is a drug, right? Yeah. It's like, oh,
yes. It's a skill. That's a skill too.
Yeah, it is a skill. And when you internally validate everything, you're like, gosh, I am focused. I did that. Like all of those things that you wish other people would say about you. Like, oh, you're such a good business owner. You're so productive, or you're so organized. You did such a good job. That was such a good podcast. Like you're looking for that outside of yourself. When you give yourself that, literally, like you let yourself feel that on the inside without nitpicking yourself apart, you feel so good that when you're with people, you're just like, you're really intrigued to hear about them. You want to know about their life. You want to know about how they're doing. You want to, like, you're just connected. It feels different. You're not thinking about what you can put in your mouth or like what's missing from the equation because there's nothing missing. I don't know. I feel that sometimes and I'm like, this is it. This is it. And so I think not celebrating enough within yourself is probably the most, fundamental of the three that I listed, and the one that you can affect change in the quickest. Because if you really start to pay attention, you'll see how much you're stealing your own satisfaction when you're like, you know, I could very well close my laptop now and like give Rob a high five and be on my drive home and be like, I wish I would have said it like this. I wish I would have got the episode under X amount of minutes. I wish I would have done a different topic instead of being like, gosh, I can't wait for everybody to hear that. And I know that they're going to feel the help. I know that they're going to get some growth out of it. They're going to have some mindset shifts. Like that would be the conversation that is celebrating my action. But the conversation that would steal that joy and that excitement and that celebration is, you should have said it different. You should have done something different. And now that we're pointing this out in your mind, you're going to notice how often you steal your own celebration. You're literally undermining your own progress because you're nitpicking. And then you're looking for other people to tell you, hey, no, you did a good job. Hey, no, you're beating yourself up. Stop, you did such a good job. Well, maybe you should stop beating yourself up and you should tell yourself that you did a good job, because the reason you don't believe those other people when they give you the external validation is because you don't believe it yourself. So start to believe it yourself, and then you won't think that you need alcohol or food or these other things to celebrate, because you celebrate yourself in every moment. That's not to say you don't notice things that you can grow in. That's not to say that you don't notice things that you can improve in, but you don't let those aspects steal your joy from the things that you did really well. Give yourself feedback, honest feedback, but then also be like, hey, I'm proud of myself. Hey, I could have done a lot of things today and I did the right thing. I got it done and I'm proud of myself. And then not living an authentic life. You know, I think this comes down to asking yourself, Rob and I even talked about this last episode, of like having a job that you actually like. Like that's one that's, I understand that's hard to change, but it's not as hard as we make it out to be. What led you to like starting CCM, Rob? Like,
you say this actually, displeasement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you just hit a wall of, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And then there's some self-work of, okay, what do I like? And then go do that. Right.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of like really just kind of turning the wheel and switching the light in a different direction, or whatever you want to call it. Just making a left turn versus a right turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change.
Yeah.
Nothing changes if you don't change. And I think Rob and I were in the same place where we were just like living lives of quiet desperation, as we talked about last episode. And we were like taking all of these left turns that made us unhappy. And then it was just like something clicked and, oh, let me just do something different. Maybe you have to stay in your job right now long enough to make rent and things, but start to use your time outside of that. Instead of celebrating that it's Friday night that comes every 7 days, instead of going to get blackout or eat your feelings every Friday night and celebrate that it's Friday, maybe use that time to research how to grow into a side hustle that is actually interesting to you.
Like if you keep saying the word, I am tired of, that's, you know what I mean? Like if you keep saying that word over and over and over, pay attention to that word, because that's a word that means you're ready for a change.
That's your mind literally telling you like, hey, the emotional attachment, I'm tired of this, I'm sick and tired of this, I'm exhausted by this. Like that's your mind telling you you're not on the right track. You can just settle for being tired with it and like living your day-to-day life and forever feeling that tiredness. Or you can say, hey, thanks, mind. Thank you, emotions, for pointing out the dissatisfaction, the displeasement in this area. If I'm really tired of this, then what's going to energize me? What am I going to be excited by? Let me start to follow those authentic goals. I think for old previous version of Maggie, a lot of the listeners that drinking is our coping mechanism or was our coping mechanism, we didn't have a lot of confidence that we could go after our authentic goals. Just like Steve Harvey said, you know, he had a stutter and his teacher told him, you would never be on TV. He had some sense of confidence to be like, actually, I will be on TV. I'm going to learn how to talk. I'm going to learn how to host. I'm going to be a thought leader. He talks about law of attraction ad nauseum. I love it. But like for a lot of us, we don't have those circumstances that induce confidence in us to go after what we authentically want. We have this conditioned program of like, just settle for what you can get the safe job, go to college, get the job that, you know, you can get, like, just do what you can to make ends meet and settle for the little house and the white picket fence and whatever life hands you. That's what you should be grateful for. That's what you should be satisfied with. And it's like, actually, what I want is something that most people wouldn't really understand, but it's what I want. It's authentic to me. Going with that path is going to make you feel so good that you don't want to sacrifice it. You don't want to spend time just blackout celebrating. And I say that with alcohol. I also think that when you celebrate with food, it is a little bit of an unconscious blackout. You're just doing it. And then you kind of like, oh my gosh, I just consumed 5,000 calories of fun. You know, when you're not living that authentic life, you're going to need something to make you feel good, because how you're spending your time 9 to 5 or shift work, whatever that looks like, is just like fucking treacherous. Another day. Oh my God, I can't wait for Friday and I can celebrate. I just got to make it through the end of today. And then at 5 o'clock, I can celebrate making it through another day. So go after authentic things. Believe in it. Have confidence. Who cares if people say you can't start the business or go for this promotion or go back to school to get whatever coursework you need? I don't care who says I can't do something. In fact, I like to use that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, well, I cannot wait to show you. And then down the line, you know, I've seen this happen several times. People say, I don't believe in you. I don't believe in you. And now they're like, Maggie, I see what you're doing. And I just want to say that, you know, I really believed in you this whole time. And I'm like, no, you didn't. But it's fun. It's fun to prove them wrong. But really to do that for your own self, to understand that living that authentic life is where you're going to feel celebratory moment to moment rather than needing to wait for the celebration after some milestone. I feel good every day. Oh, I fucking love doing this. I love reading emails when I have you listeners writing me. I love talking to Rob about our episodes. I love all of the things that I'm doing because it's authentic to me. If I were back in the day working at Hooters still, manufactured goal of, oh, well, I can climb the corporate ladder and I'll put these training guides together and I'll train all the managers and the bartenders, and like, I think this gets me external validation, people telling me I look really pretty and I did a good job training these people. Like, okay, that felt good for a moment. But then I'm like going through my day-to-day activities. Like, is this really what my whole life is cracked up to be? Is this really what I'm meant to do? I think what you said, Rob, if you're saying I'm tired of ... in conjunction with, is this all that life has to offer? Is this all that I'm meant to do? If those are really kind of happening at the same time, that's definitely an indicator you're not living authentically. Did you have that sense before CCM?
And it's also alignment, like you're saying, like alignment with who I want to be.
Yeah.
And that could change. Like maybe
we're allowed to change along the way.
Yeah, maybe the Hooters thing was what it was and you outgrew it and you're like, now I'm tired of this thing. So what's next?
Yeah. Because I do think I learned a lot. There were things that, I'm doing to this day that I learned at Hooters. A lot of my speaking, a lot of my presence that came from teaching Hooters classes and just kind of like learning to be confident in that uniform and all those things. I would never take that time back. But like you said, like you get to a point where you get everything out of maybe it was a manufactured goal, but your timeline, you were meant to be there. Maybe you got everything out of that. And now you're questioning, I'm so tired of just showing up and serving wings. This was kind of my monologue on like internally. I'm so tired.
Well, you could say, you can use that as a cue for growth, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's like, this is the time that my soul says, I've got everything I need out of this. What's next? What's next? And you actually can start to believe in another area for growth because you're now recognizing that you're dissatisfied. Bob Proctor said, dissatisfaction is the most creative state. When you get really pissed off, that's when you get the good ideas. And that's when I got my good idea for Magnify, was when I was really pissed off at my life circumstances. I would liken it to my rock bottom, although relatively speaking, it wasn't really the rock bottom. I was just like finally like, oh, I hate spending my time doing things that I hate. So when you start living authentically, you will feel celebratory moment to moment. And then not doing anything to make yourself feel proud. If I laid around all day on the couch, that might feel good an hour or 2 hours. But by the end of the day, I'm going to look for something to help me celebrate doing a whole lot of nothing. So if you're not doing anything to make yourself feel proud, I think that falls in line with alignment and authenticity too, but literally like taking care of yourself, like being a healthy human being. Sometimes that's adultish self-care, like going to the fucking dentist, going to the doctor, getting the things taken care of that are overwhelming your mind. You know, sometimes I think back to when I was drinking and things would stress me out that I wouldn't take care of. Things as simple as checking the fucking mail. Like something about, well, what if there's like, bad news in the mailbox? What if there's like a notice that I have to do something? What if there's like a letter from somebody that I don't want to read? Like I had a lot of fear, like in just such a small example like that. Well, if I have that fear and then I go check the mail, which takes like 30 seconds to get to your mailbox and back. And then I look through it and I take care of anything that's in there and I read the things and I look at the notices and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm okay. That's something small that you feel proud of at the end versus sitting on the couch. Oh my God, I wonder what's in the mailbox. I wonder if there's going to be a letter that has bad news. I wonder if the bank is going to write me and say that I have no more money and like catastrophizing. So in very small ways and big ways of making yourself feel proud, maybe it's getting off the couch and meal prepping. Maybe it's making that phone call, hard conversation. Maybe it's knocking out the work proposal. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's managing your money, budgeting, all of these things. They will feel hard before you start. And then when you do them, you're going to feel proud. And following routines, following adulting things, taking care of responsibilities, instead of seeing it as like, God, I have to do it as a punishment, see it as I'm taking care of myself. I'm literally giving attention to myself now so that my future self will feel at ease and proud and will not need something outside of me to celebrate. I will celebrate myself in my own mind, in my body, and I'm going to feel good. And that is my reward. That is my treat. So in closing, I want you to think about those three, maybe write in, are there other causes that create this need to celebrate? I would say a coping mechanism of celebration. I would even go as far to say that, because if you're stifling yourself from celebrating in your life somewhere else, then you will figure out how to cope to celebrate. Makes sense to my mind. Maybe I'm just a little crazy. But if you have other needs, if as you were listening, I want to hear, because I'm sure that's not the only three. I was thinking about the function of celebrating and why one might be using alcohol to celebrate. I actually want to add one more off the top of my head. Maybe you're not allowing yourself to have genuine childlike fun. This would be number 4. I was watching Big recently with Tom Hanks, and it's really funny watching that as an adult. As a kid, I didn't like it. Maybe it's because as a kid, I had a lot of adult responsibilities. And so I thought that it was just a silly movie. And I was like, meh. But now as an adult, I watched that movie. And, there's the part where Tom Hanks brings the girl back to his apartment. And his apartment has like the pinball machine and the skee ball machine and the trampoline. And she gets on the trampoline for the first time in like years and years. She's like 30 years old, and she's like very rigid jumping on the trampoline. And she's like, no, I shouldn't do this. I'm an adult, blah, blah, blah. But like, then she starts to have fun with it. She starts to like let herself relax and be a big kid. And if you don't give yourself that permission to stop being so rigid, if you don't give yourself permission to just lighten up, stop taking things so seriously, stop having your inhibitions so high, your walls so high that you need to be this responsible adult, I think that would be number 4 on my list. Not giving yourself permission to have fun in general sense. So like as an adult, can you go jump on a trampoline? Can you throw a bunch of toys in a pool and put goggles on and go dive for sticks and fish and fake things like that? Can you play tag with your kids? Can you play hide and seek as an adult? Maybe you go and play laser tag. Maybe you play some paintball. Go to one of those like adventure places and just play like a kid again and stop taking yourself so seriously. Your responsibilities, you will take care of those in your own time. But if you are not finding fun outside of alcohol, then maybe you just need to practice playing, lighten up, stop taking yourself so seriously. So also watch Big. I think it's interesting. I want to hear your takeaways of rewatching that as an adult, because it's really interesting, I think, when you're like, wow, look at these adult characters, and even how Tom Hanks shifts. Even though he's a 13-year-old stuck in a 30-year-old's body, when he's around the environment of 30-year-olds, he wants to please them. He wants to like be a part of their life. So he starts to grow up and become really inhibited and serious. And he starts to lose out on how to play, which I think is just really, really fascinating. I think that something that we can all ponder on is like, as adults, how often do I just let myself lighten up and play some games and laugh and not take myself so seriously? All right. So your exercise for the week is to play cards, play a game with kids, start following, if you look up on social media, like Instagram, like card games, there's like all kinds of pages that they just teach you little card games that are using a random, or like using a traditional deck of cards, but they're random games. There's also pages that show you like literal games, pool games to play, games to play around your house with like a broom and a crushed can, things like that. So just play. I want you to spend 5 minutes a day playing, not taking yourself seriously. There are real things that happen in our brain that cue the high vibrations and the happy hormones with play, non-judgment, celebration, happiness, jovial energy, all of these things when you can just play. Let me know what kinds of games you get into. Maybe it's something that you used to do as a kid that you're like, I thought grown-ups weren't allowed to do this, but actually I'm allowed to do whatever the F I want because I'm a grown up. For me, that is a trampoline park. I love a trampoline park. I think it's so fun. It makes me feel like a kid again. And it helps me remember that I am the fun. I am fun as long as I let myself be fun. I celebrate every moment. I do not need a reward. I am not a dog. I do not need a treat for every little thing. In fact, the biggest treat is just my self-satisfaction and my pride and my boosted self-image. So, in closing, go play your ass off, celebrate yourself moment to moment, stop tearing yourself apart for the one thing you did wrong when you had 99 great things to celebrate today, and notice how this shifts your perspective of needing to celebrate 5 p.m., 8 p.m., Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. Because you're strong. You can think different in order to drink different, think different to move different, play different, celebrate different, all of the above. It all goes down in the mind. Until next time, signing out, Magnify Maggie. It means the entire world to me that you have been here with me, letting me share my experiences and hopefully helping open your eyes to a bright, beautiful life ahead of you as well. So if you are loving this show, please, please, please subscribe, like, comment, and especially share this with somebody that might be in need. Please help get the word out. Word of mouth is so important. And I know that you're somebody special who can help me in this mission for thinking differently in order to drink differently or never again. Make sure you reach out if you have any questions you want discussed on the podcast. I'm here for it. So I'll talk to you soon. Signing out, Magnify Maggie.